I've worked for 4 editors at the New Yorker. Curiously, throughout that time, and it's one of the oddities of the magazine, most of my interactions have been not with the editor who is not called the editor-in-chief, but it would be called the editor-in-chief other places, but with my immediate editor, who was originally Chip McGrath, who's now at the New York Times, and for the past 25 years has been the brilliant and omniscient Henry Finder, who is something of the William Shawn of his time, because he has the robotic, zombie-like loyalty of a very wide range of writers, including John Franzen and Malcolm Gladwell and me. So day to day, Henry and I are engaged. Each one of those editors has obviously an enormously different style. Mr. Shawn's internalized and rather strategic shyness, I think, is famous. Bob Gottlieb was someone I worked with very closely who had an uncanny gift for large-scale organization. So he could take something like the Cheever Diaries, which were, I think, one of the great highlights of his tenure as editor, and turn them from this huge mass of stuff into a really touching narrative that was engrossing. Bob had an extraordinary gift for that. Tina Brown became an extremely close friend. I always compared Tina, she wouldn't even understand this comparison, so I can make it without her worrying about it, to Billy Martin. I don't know if anyone remembers Billy Martin, the great baseball manager. Billy Martin had the best eye for talent. He knew who could play and who couldn't play of anyone who ever managed a baseball team. And Tina had that kind of eye for talent. Tina Brown spotted Anthony Lane when he was 25, 1 year out of Cambridge, writing for the London Independent, offered him the film critic's job at the New Yorker. He said, I can't leave London, because Anthony's a perverse Englishman. And she said, all right, do it from London. David Remnick had started writing for the New Yorker, but she essentially made him the cleanup hitter. She brought him to the New Yorker and said, you're going to be my 10,000-word piece man. Just to defend. And in my own case, when I said I want to go to Paris, she said, that's a great idea. You're too ghettoized writing about art. I love that idea. Go write from Paris. So she just had a fantastic feeling for talent. Malcolm Gladwell. She also created an atmosphere of, like, as Billy Martin did, of high tension. She wanted so much and she demanded so much, and it was 3 in the morning when you'd get a fax, but she saved the magazine. She was wonderful. David Remnick, I'm proud to say, is one of my dearest friends. We've known each other since 1983, if you can imagine, because we were both, he was a young writer at GQ and I was a young editor at GQ. And if you know, in the dictionary next to the word mensch, there is a picture of David Remnick. He's a deeply good human being. He's guided the New Yorker through a turbulent time, made a decision, I think very wise one, to politicize the magazine, not in the sense of making it more ideological, but making it on the news in a way that it had not been for many decades. And I think that that's made it an indispensable magazine. And you know, what can I say? You know, I feel myself to be a citizen of that place. Through all of those differences, and those 4 people could not be more different temperamentally, the DNA of the magazine has, I think, rather startlingly remained remarkably constant. It's, you know, a lot of it is determined by the basic reality that it is a weekly magazine of humor, reporting, and literature. That's our job description. We don't really do social issues the way the Atlantic does. We do humor, reporting, and literature. And that's our task. So after 32 years, I feel more impressed by the continuities than I am startled by the discontinuities. And I certainly think that our mission in life is to recruit 20-somethings into it. So whenever I see a 20-something reading the New Yorker on the subway, I surreptitiously take a picture and text it to David. It's our version of sexting, is finding 20-somethings reading the magazine.